Hey folks, Eshan LaCoste here from All Wyse Transformation. Just been feeling out of sorts lately, feeling disconnected, and maybe it's fall coming. The weather is slowly changing. The mornings are a little chillier than usual. Temperature a little cooler at night. And so been really, I don't know if sad is the right word to say to see the summer go, because it was a really, really beautiful summer. I made a effort to really be outside, be in nature, go hiking, go to the river, try to hang out with friends as much as I can, um, outside of my comfort zone. But lately, I've been sort of really diving into audiobooks, a variety of different audiobooks, to the point where I just don't want to do anything else except just lounge around or go for very long walks and just listen to audiobooks. Mostly fantasy, some sci-fi, but I do find myself just wanting to get lost in the story, specifically if it's a really, really good story. And so I've been really aware of how much I want to disconnect from everything and giving myself permission to, one, to acknowledge how good the story is, because the stories are pretty good. And two, to sort of see how awesome it is to be a writer, to take something from your imagination and put it on paper or create a play or create a piece of art. I find that to be so fascinating that people could do that people have the ability to create a whole world. And so I admire people who are able to create fantasy, sci-fi. I'm not so much into comedy or drama, but there is something that is beautiful that the human mind can do that. And so it's also a double-edged sword, because I'm thinking that sometimes that's what happens to us when we are invested so much into our own personal stories, into our own personal narrative, that other people's versions are minimized for whatever reason. I do find that to be very interesting in how all of us tell stories in various ways. Stories of our upbringing, stories about relationships, stories about why no one likes us, stories about people do like us. And so it's all stories. And because I've been so engrossed into various audiobooks, it's toned down my own chatter in my brain. And I do find that to be a relief. I do find that to be soothing in various ways, because as a person who struggles with anxiety, I'm always on the cusp of fear, of doubt, apprehension, of emotional, mental scarcity, the need for perfection. Um, and within all those different clusters is a story that I'm telling myself. Sometimes it's a very negative story that I'm telling myself. Sometimes it's a very neutral version that I'm telling myself. But I do find it to be very interesting how listening to audiobooks is a really interesting way of stepping into a whole world. And to a certain degree, right? Like, to a certain degree, that's what we all do. We all want somebody to sort of step into our world. You know, we want somebody to step into the version of us that can be validated, that can be seen, that can be cherished, that can be loved, that can be honored, that can be made whole. Because no one wants a tragedy in their story, personal stories. I don't think they mind reading tragedies or seeing tragedies from other people, right? I think to a certain degree, we do this all the time. We see a news article or NBC, CNN, Fox. They're all telling us stories, and some stories are more compelling than others. Some stories are twisted for a particular narrative, but the goal is to make us believe in that story, in that version of reality. And tragedy happens, and we see the tragedy happening. And we say, oh, shooting has happened. And that leaves us to live the day, to go food shopping, to pay bills, to raise kids.
I was confused
All
about
of
why a
all of
mirror would
that.
have a storage array.
So the stories, some of them are real, some of them are fabricated. Some of them are hopes and dreams stories about trauma, stories about natural disasters. And for those who are reading those stories, and for those who are um, the observer of that story, they're sort of removed from it unless it impacts them personally. So I have become very committed to audio fiction books. It all is process of learning, of becoming something that others can see and honor. We all want to be seen. And so telling our stories is how we do that. So if I tell myself that I'm living in a place of scarcity, then that negative narrative will be my focal point, or will be the blinders that I have on myself about myself. And so I am well aware that no one has to validate me. I could say I could, or no, I could say that I should honor and validate myself, but I want validations from others. This is why I post. This is why people post, because people want to tell their stories. People want to tell the version of themselves to be seen by the world, or a segment of the world, right? And I truly do believe there are people out there who really don't care, right? They are living their life the way that they want to live their life. But the story of authenticity, the story of validation, the story of growth, the story of death in its many, 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 many forms is out there. It's a beautiful day today. It's September 11th. And trying to find a story that I want to live today. I have been reading a lot of audiobooks. Anyway, I just wanted to share this sort of tidbit. It sort of also goes with the book I was reading by Gabor Mate, The Myth of Normal. Again, really good book. He really talks about normalcy, or what it means to be normal, or what that looks like from a clinical perspective. Anyway, stories. We all got them.